Welcome back to another episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct with your amazing hosts, Mitch and Ben. That's me and him. Me, him. Ben, welcome back. We missed you last week.
Of course you did. How couldn't you?
Well, I had Josh. It's easy to miss you after I had him on the show. I mean, he
Josh
did good. He did what was
did
expected
good.
of him.
Josh did good, but I have to give him props. He even stated that I leave some pretty big shoes to fill. So, Josh, good on you for recognizing talent when you see it.
It's always fun whenever we could bring on guests. I know I was talking to Josh after the show. I'm like, Ben and I, we could just get going and just keep going. And we work so well with each other. I think that's one reason why these episodes have been naturally going longer because we
Yeah.
have found ways to just keep talking about things. And
Well,
I told Josh, I'm like, just keep following me. Like I'll keep the flow going, but it just naturally went faster last week.
yeah. But I mean, realistically, here's the problem, Mitch, is that you and me get going. The real trick is getting us to shut up. So,
it's
I
well,
mean, it's good. Like I honestly, it's not a podcast at this point. I'd say it's just a dang conversation.
nah.
Did
I
you-
I think podcast is pretty appropriate, and I mean just all the big podcasts out there anymore. I mean we're nothing comparable to that, but those things could be 3 hours long.
hmm
So I think as long as you choose your niche, you're not getting too far away from what you want to do, unless that's really your platform. Then yeah, no, I say it's a podcast.
I think it works, but
So I
each their
like it.
own.
We do episodes, man. These aren't done on the fly.
I mean, they are kind of done on the fly.
Well, they're done on the fly. It's controlled on the fly. We have a routine,
Preach, Mitch.
and there we go. Just keep talking. But
Oh, don't
anyways,
worry. We've got a good episode for everyone tonight. We got plenty to talk about, especially with all this stuff that has happened in the past week. Some
hmm
crazy games in the NFL again. Obviously, plenty of good matchups coming this week, and we're getting that much closer to playoffs, man.
dude, and not just NFL, but fantasy. Fantasy's coming sooner, and that's just a few weeks away. I mean,
Yep.
we're 10 weeks in. I think we have week 15, 16, and 17 for playoffs. Is that right? Um,
We
so
got four.
4 more weeks. Ben, are you gonna be able to get your team to turn around and get into the playoffs?
Well, here's the thing, Mitch. So the top two teams in the league are sitting at 8-2, but go down past the top three, and everyone's 5-5 or 4-6, and the last three teams are 3-7. So there's a decent chance that some of those 3-7 teams, if they can pull out 4 wins in the next 4 weeks, they might be squeaking into playoffs.
Could you, if I told you at the beginning of the year that AJ and Tommy would be 3-7 right now, would you have believed me?
No, no, I wouldn't.
I mean, 7 game losing streak.
And it
7.
hurts. It hurts that much more knowing that my first game out of the gate was against them. So I'm one of their wins. It hurts. It hurts.
Man, but yeah, it's gonna come down to the wire making it to the playoffs. Then you know how that goes. Once playoffs start, it's a whole new season.
Well, and I'll throw it out there. I think there's a lot of teams that are sitting there right in the middle. I don't know that they deserve to be in the middle. I really don't know. I'm willing to call out some people right now. So we'll see.
We'll be getting into that here soon. So let's go and roll into. We'll do some power rankings. How about we go right into that? So
Do
Ben,
it.
since you are doing worse than me, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
just stating it how it is.
It is
Who's
what it is, man.
who has the best team in the league?
Oh boy. Well, I think you got to look at the top two teams record wise and understand They're there for a reason. But I'm going to go ahead and say that the number one ranked team right now is not the number one team.
Okay.
I, again, feel dirty saying this, but Mike's team, I think, is actually the best team right now. Joe Burrow's coming on and looking pretty darn good right now. Uh, Painful for me to state that. Uh, he's got some solid pieces that have come back, and you're kind of seeing some revitalized things from Miami's players. So Devon Achan's looking a little bit better. Jamar Chase is apparently playing at God level now.
Well, he's showing that he should be paid the most in the NFL. That's what he is doing.
So I showed you guys in our Discord channel this week that I have Jamar Chase in another league, and it is the first time I've ever seen one player score 77 points. Now, different system of scoring on that, but still, 77. One player alone literally carried my team to victory. That is insane. So I got to give props. That is a monster game. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, if they keep connecting like they are, good Lord.
Dude,
I,
and
I
it's I'll agree with you with Mike's teams being the best, and I think you hit it right on the dot. It's the Joe Burrow, it's the Wombo combo. The fact that the Bengals are 4-6, they got a bad defense, and their offense is clicking every game this year. They gotta get out there and win. I think the only way that Mike's team starts underperforming is if like the Bengals lose their next two out of their three games, and they're eliminated from NFL playoff contention. But I think as long as they're in the fight, any given week they could just light it up. I know Higgins is going to be back soon. I don't think that's going to make that much of an impact to Chase. So, but I agree with you. I'd say Mike is one. Clark is close behind him. But Mike, he just has players right now that they're not just home runs; they're grand slams. So, um, worst team. I'm gonna pivot. I can't remember exactly what I said last week, but it's gonna be AJ and Tommy. You
I
lose
think fair.
you lose seven in a row. I don't see how things are gonna change for you. CD Lamb, he's a wash now. That's not his fault. Dallas is just a disaster. Amon St. Brown, that's not a consistent wide receiver. At the beginning of the year, we thought they had the best wide receiver core, but they're middle of the pack at best. Um, so yeah, they're struggling. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see their team bouncing back and getting into the top six. Your team at 3-7, I do see like it can do it. It has the players to do it. They just got to get going. And if your team could sneak in and gets in there, then I know nobody in the top six is going to want to play against you. Whoever that top six is going to be. Um,
I'm just saying, boys. Here's my happy little prediction, or maybe what you all should be wishing should happen. Let me get in with the sixth seed and somehow make me face Mike. I promise I will take Mike down in a way that none of you have seen.
can you say that as though you are Donald Trump going for the presidency?
Listen here, here's what I'm saying to you today. I promise you that if elected to this great honor, I will take down Mike in a way that you've never seen before. It will be the best, the greatest. Also, I have perfectly normal sized hands.
You got my vote.
See, I got so there you go. I got the skills.
Oh, that's great. I know. Right now, looking at the standings, looking at the top six, only one has won a championship in past years.
Mm-hmm.
You do have people right there that are close by. So Cameron, the seventh seed, he can get in. Andrew is right there too. He can get in. Um, man, AJ, Ryan and Mark, they're at the bottom. So and Andrews' team is getting better too. So I like it's gonna be interesting what the playoffs are gonna look like and who we're gonna have to deal with. Sam might even get in there. Uh,
All I'm saying is, those those guys sitting in the 5, 6, 7 seeds right now. You go look at the points against. So just gonna throw it out there. Come talk to me when you've had 1,100 points scored on you.
oh yeah.
Just saying. Just saying. I would happily play any of you any week and destroy you.
Josh.
Just saying. If there's any side bets that want to be made on that, like I realize I'm not actually playing them right now, but if they want to make the side bet and be like, my team will outscore your team, I'm your guy.
We always have teams like that. I mean, the year that Mickey V won the whole thing, he had no business being in the playoffs, and then his team was ridiculous. There's no slowing it down. It was the biggest butt whooping. Like playing against Mike, like my team showed up. It wasn't like I think my team scored like 130 or almost. His team scored like 160. It's like
Mm-hmm.
okay, there's not much I can do. So you just got to be hot at the right time and hope that you get a little luck getting into the playoffs. So, but all right, let's get into some waiver wires.
Let's do
Um, we had a handful this week. I did not see this one. Holy smokes!
it. I know what you're looking at.
The I know looking at this because I debated on trying to put a bid in on it, and I don't think there's going to be enough to where it'd be worthwhile. And it's like okay, maybe there's keeper value. We're talking about was it Audric
Aldrich Estime, something like that.
Estime?
Point
Um,
is, rookie running back from the Broncos. Oh God.
man, Steve. I don't think this one's. I think Clark had a bigger one. Either Clark had 52 or 54. He was right there for going for Hunt, if I recall correctly. But Steve coming in at 53. The next closest was AJ and Tommy at $14, and then Sam came in at 10. So I'm curious what Steve like. There has to be keeper thoughts on this one.
I gotta correct you, Mitch, because I just went back and checked, and this is the highest fab
It is the
because
highest fab.
yeah, Clark put $47 uh for Kareem Hunt. So
Man, I feel like somebody put down 50 something on a player.
I don't know about 50, but 47 is still pretty dang impressive.
It is. I don't want to take anything away from that, but anyways, $53 is a lot. Um, Steve, I'm curious, and it wasn't just that you got. You went and got Dawson Knox for 11 after that. Like you literally plowed through almost three-fourths of your budget in 1 week,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. um, what I'm gonna say about this initially, I don't think it's a good one at especially at that dollar amount. Now, with that being said, if he does become the starter, and because this is keeper value territory,
Mm-hmm.
so this is one of those things. Like maybe ask me next year whether this thumbs up or thumbs down. I mean, he clearly could have got it for a lot less, but yeah, we'll see. Um,
I mean, it's something, man. We know that Sean Payton has said that they're quote encouraged by him, and they basically said we're going to give him more snaps,
yeah,
good reps. So I think that that is a good indicator. I just don't know that that means that he's going to necessarily take all the lead snaps, or is he just jumping up in the committee to where it's
I
even
agree.
more?
Yeah,
So I don't know. It remains to be seen, but I will give them props. They needed to try and do something against the Chiefs defense, and you know, in terms of the run game, he was providing a spark where the other guys weren't.
yeah,
So I get it there. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in any form of running back for the Broncos right now.
yep. And then yeah, after that we had Dawson Knox. Steve got for 11. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
You had a $5 bid, and Little Josh had a $0 bid. Um, Clark getting Russell Wilson for $6. I like that bid. I mean, he could have got it for one. I think Russell Wilson surprised a lot of people as to what he's able to do this year, and credit to Mike Tomlin for making that choice. Not that
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields was being remarkable or anything,
No.
uh, but to go away from that, and yeah, I mean, I think he has his QB. Uh, After that, we got little Josh with Gus Edwards um, with $6. Cameron once again with a $0 bid, and then Andrew picking up New Orleans for $4, and Ryan and Mark putting in a $0 bid.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm gonna say the exact same thing to Josh whenever we were talking about Gus Edwards earlier this season. Eh. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, little Josh, but I believe you actually drafted Gus Edwards and cut him, and now picked him back up. So,
I could confirm. I have my own little list here from the draft. I was actually looking at it today. Um, where are you at? He drafted Gus Edwards in the seventh round.
yep. So, all right. You know what? I guess $6 for a seventh rounder. I guess that's fair. Uh, I just don't see it panning out, buddy. J.K. Dobbins is clearly the better back. Uh, Look, if Gus Edwards really had anything in the tank, he would have been a feature back by now.
Yeah.
Dude's running up on old man status at some point. Yeah. He'll be fine, Josh.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's all I really have to say about the fab bids. Clearly I maybe could have been a little bit more active on some of this stuff, but at the same time, I'm not going to beat Steve with a $53 bid. So, you know,
It's. I know. The only reason I looked at that, like, like Johnson on my team, I don't. That is such like I don't want to drop him because I gave up a lot to get him, and
mm-hmm.
he might become the number two wide receiver there. It just might take some time. Like he might be something that he might make sense come week 13, 14, putting him in the starting lineup. So uh, I know I'm about to drop likely. I've been patient, and honestly, if I with how Brock Bowers is performing on my team, that it's keeper worthy because it's only a sixth round for me next year. I drafted him in the seventh. So if I want to keep Brock Bowers, it's only a six, and the idea was likely that'd be a 10th round keep, and he might be starting somewhere, or who knows, Walter might trade away Mark Andrews. I don't know, but
Yep.
I don't. If I really want a tight end, I have one solidified there in the sixth round. So, um, but anyways, Ben, I think we can go ahead and get right into Week 11 matchups.
I'm so excited.
You so excited that you want to start with yours?
You know what? I can do that.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and tell you right now. It is a battle of garbage teams right now.
I actually got the screen sharing this time too, so
You got me and versus Ryan and Mark. Battle of the 3-7 teams. And remember what I said a while ago, guys. Only 4 games left. That means these games are clutch. Somebody's got to get that W here. Ryan, Mark, I'm going to apologize for what I intend to do to you guys this weekend. I'm going to get that W. So, breaking it down, yes, I think they have the better quarterback in Brock Purdy. It's a pretty decent matchup against Seattle for him. I'm playing Stafford. I'm hoping they're going to bounce back from whatever the heck that was last weekend. Um, I'm playing a ballsy move, Mitch. I'm playing two San Francisco wide receivers. Normally, I would tell you that's a very stupid, stupid idea, but quite frankly, the way that Brock Purdy is spreading it around, well, if Brock Purdy's going to do anything, I'm going to make sure that my receivers are the ones who are benefiting from it. So that's kind of what I'm hoping is Brock Purdy going to pop off multiple touchdowns, and it's going to be both to Debo Samuel and Juwan Jennings. It's going to work, Mitch. It's going to work. But I'm really banking on two things. I've got Derrick Henry, I've got Alvin Kamara. I think both of them are going to hit somewhere around their projections. Um, I don't have a tight end in there right now. Don't worry, I will. It's going to happen. Just wait. And then technically, Juju Smith Schuster is questionable to play. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet. Um, I, God, am I really in a world where I'm going to play Michael Pittman again?
Richardson's back too.
I know. Absolutely just atrocious. So there is a chance I might be making some drops and picking something up. I've got a couple ideas. So projection wise, my team's at 90. Theirs is at 90. They need a defense. I need a tight end. This game's pretty fairly matched, but look at who they're starting. You got Drake London, who's back from whatever that stupid little hip injury he had from standing on his head, and then I don't trust Quentin Johnson. That I don't know. You have a choice of feast or famine with him.
I actually like that matchup against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's defense is terrible.
I agree, but I just don't know that they're going to have to do their work through the air. Like honestly, I just don't see it. Bijan Robinson against Denver. Denver is quietly a better defense than people realize.
Oh yeah.
And then you got Travis Etienne. Look, I don't know what the status of Tank Bigsby is right now, but like Etienne clearly has just lost the trust of that coaching staff this year.
Mhm.
Uh, has Travis Kelsey actually hit projections multiple times this year? I think it's been like
I'm looking.
three,
There's
4.
there's two, three, four, five. He's done it 5 times.
No, he hasn't. He's done it 4 times, sir.
You should look
No,
again. So week
you're right.
4, week
You're right.
and last 3 weeks, he's averaging over six. Like between the last 3 weeks, it's 20, 15, 16, and playing against Buffalo, they're gonna need every bit of Travis Kelsey. So
I don't think he's going to be a factor in that game, if I'm honest. Buffalo's defense is pretty decent in their coverage. Um, Chiefs, what they're going to be looking to do in that game, they want to build up a lead and then kill that clock. That's what they want. So I think it's going to be a big Kareem Hunt day. I don't think it's going to be a Travis day. And I do think if it is an air through the air game, I actually think this is the week to have DeAndre Hopkins. So that's kind of how I expect that to go. Like I said, I think they got some good pieces. I just don't in a game that's going to be this kind of tight. I'm going to go with home run hitters, and I think I've got more of those than they do.
so I think that the key factor with this matchup, I mean, you're banking on a lot with Atlanta, and you're playing a good defense, and you're playing at Denver, an angry Denver team, a team that should have won last week.
Mhm.
Um, they're going to be out for blood. um, so I don't like those matchups. I get why you got to play London and Robinson. I do. Uh, Purdy in a divisional game, that's going to be tough. That's a very competitive division right now. Uh,
Mhm.
there's not a clear winner. I'm not necessarily against the Samuel and Jennings play, but if Purdy has a big day and it's not to them, you lose.
I know,
Oh, I know. um,
Mitch.
so
I'm gonna give you a phrase here that I've been saying for years. You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
oh, I know. So I'm going to give this one to you, Ben. I think this is going to be close. I do. Um, I don't know what you're going to do with your flex. Honestly, I'd probably risk it with Pittman over Juju.
Well,
Um, but you have time to figure that out. So, all right,
me,
let's get it. Let's do Sam and Josh. So
you just
I
say that you.
I do. So Sam. Oh, Sam. Sam beat me last week. I almost came back. If Puka caught that touchdown right there at the end of the game, I would have won. But
Hmm?
that's how it goes sometimes. So this matchup, not gonna lie, I like Sam. Um, Jets against Indy. I think it's a game where the Jets can light it up, but we'll see. I'm not gonna say that with a lot of confidence, but if I had to bet, I bet they have a big game because this really is their, I've been saying last chance, but they're not, they're like 2 games back from wild card right now.
Yep.
So if you're gonna do it at home against Indy, who doesn't know what they're doing at quarterback. Well, they do, but they have a quarterback problem. Um, Josh Allen against Kansas City. I know Kansas City has a big defense. I really think Buffalo is they're going to make a statement. I think Buffalo knows that if they are going to go to the Super Bowl, it has to go through Buffalo, and they got to hope for that snowstorm because I don't think Kansas City could win in a snowstorm. Not against Josh Allen.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you right now that match, Josh Allen, he needs to be that running Josh Allen.
Oh yeah.
He's a scrambling guy. If they're going to win that game, he needs to beat the Chiefs with his own legs.
Um, Josh, looking at your team, I get the Geno Smith, Metcalf, Wombo combo you're doing. I think that's one of those where you'll have big weeks and you'll have weeks where you don't hit, and you're gonna lose because of that. So that might be enough to roll the dice. Some of these could have big games where they could put up a zero burger for you, like Dobbs, but he could also have a big week. So you're kind of a swing for the fence or get nothing at all with a handful of these players.
Yep.
Um, gonna give this to Sam though. I think there's a lot more consistency. Mark Andrews has been picking it up and playing like everybody expected him to play.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, I don't like Washington's defense against Philly. I might be a little biased with that. I think playing at Philly, watching Washington, a lot of people think very highly of them. They've gotten lucky in several of their games that they should not have won.
Yep.
And Eagles are playing way better than they have. Now, this is a short week, so sometimes bets are all off, especially on a divisional game. But I could see this game being lopsided real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, might pan out. But Cleveland's D, I guess we'll see. I guess I don't necessarily like it or hate it any more than Washington against Philly. It's not that New Orleans is a great team, so but gonna give it to Sam.
You know what? I'm gonna make this simple, Mitch. I'm actually just gonna agree with you because I like a lot of the reasons you pointed out. Um, Josh, right now, looking at your team, I think you're relying heavily on Kyron Williams giving you a big day against New England because the rest of the guys on the team, we've watched them get injured or throw up nothing burgers. Like Romeo Dobbs, I do like him, but I just don't know there's consistency there. I don't think Cleveland against New Orleans is going to be the best play. Um, again, I think Kamara is pretty much going to be pushing the ball and willing them into a victory. They kind of need it right now. Um, we don't really know if Kincaid's going to play or not, but I don't know that it matters because Kincaid has not really been a factor this year. for somebody that was drafted to be, the starting tight end up there, and really everyone thought they were going to take over with him. We're not seeing it. So
Yeah.
I just don't have a whole lot of faith in him on that. I get the Geno Smith play with DK Metcalf back, but uh, it's a San Francisco defense that, yes, they maybe aren't as good as they've been in the past, but you said it a while ago, divisional games, those just take on a different feel,
Mhm.
down and dirty. And I think if Buffalo is looking for a statement game, then I think San Francisco is very much looking for a statement game too. So I'm gonna say Sam pulls this out. Um, Sam, please just give me Cortland Sutton. That's all I'm at. Give me Cortland Sutton. I promise I will take Mike out in the playoffs. Everyone will be so happy with me. I'll pay you. I'm begging. All right, on to the next matchup.
All right. Next matchup. Uh, let's see. We've already did your matchup. We'll go Cameron and Clark.
Oof. Well, Mitch, I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be rooting for a Cameron loss because that helps me work my way up.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to pick Clark.
Are you picking
Uh,
Clark because you think he's gonna win, or are you picking Clark because you want Cameron to lose?
yes.
Okay.
All right, so I'll actually explain why. Um, the quarterbacks, I think, are actually pretty comparable this week. Bo Nix, I have to give them some credit. They've figured out ways to win with him. They look pretty competitive with him. Um, I think it's his feet that really are helps him the most. Russell Wilson, I'll be honest, both these guys kind of have some similar playing styles, man. So I think that it's kind of a wash between those two. Um, Going down the line, I would rather have Devontae Smith than Darnell Mooney. Again, you said it. I think Atlanta is going up against a Denver team that got beaten away that they shouldn't have. Denver's going to be nasty this week,
Mhm.
and yeah, it would not surprise me if Sertan, I don't know, rips the ball out of Mooney's hand. So that being said, Saquon Barkley in a divisional matchup. Look, man, it's hard to bet against Barkley. It's hard to bet against Kareem Hunt right now. Um, yes, I will say that Cam's got Jameer Gibbs and Chase Brown, but again, Gibbs, I like the matchup. Jacksonville's just pretty much terrible. I'm not on the Chase Brown train. Cooper Cup, I like to play. I do not like the Evan Ingram play, especially since there is no such thing as a Trevor Lawrence playing for them this week. Tyreek Hill still a little questionable. We don't really know what to expect on that front, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's still this wrist injury, but he's basically scored 10 points for the last 3 weeks. So it seems like a safe bet to be like, oh, Tyreek's going to score 10 points. That's not the Tyreek that we know. Tyreek is usually a scoring monster. This
Mhm.
not so much. So I will look at the things that Clark has. I like Saquon Barkley. I like Kareem Hunt. Look, you said it a while ago. You kind of question playing Juwan Jennings and Debo Samuel. Why? Because George Kittle's on that team too. So if San Francisco is going to have a statement game, somebody's going to be getting that ball and scoring. So maybe it is Kittle. And then Jaden Reed and Green Bay against, again, divisional opponent. I like the odds.
Yeah.
So end of the day, Cam, you put in a kicker. I think your projected score will be closer, but I think that you're still going to get the L this week.
Uh, I'm also gonna pick Clark. Honestly, you said a lot of it. There's a lot more going on for this matchup. I don't think it's comparable between Nix and Russell this week. Baltimore does not have a good defense. They
That's
don't.
true.
And I could see Russell having a big day with Pickens. Now if that becomes a low scoring game, yeah, sure, that could be bad. But um, I I just like that combination this week.
Mhm.
Saquon, he's a beast. Hunt, oh yeah. I mean that has to be one of the best waiver pickups, if not the best waiver pickup this year. Doing that for Hunt. Um, Kittle, I mean you said it. Reed, if I had to pick a wide receiver on the Green Bay, it's Reed.
Mhm.
I there is something I need to disagree with you on. I think Cincinnati, Chase Brown is there to stay. I am a Chase Brown fan. He has been performing. He's been doing what they need him to do. If their offensive line got a little bit better, that would help. If they had a defense, then they could control the game. But Chase Brown's been putting up big numbers in fantasy. So I do like Chase Brown. I really wish I would have found a way to get him in that trade that I did earlier this year with Cameron, but that was one of the ones he did not want to get rid of. So, which I understand. We're seeing why. Uh, yeah, I think there's just a lot more going for Clark's team this week. Clark has the best team, or arguably the second best team in the league for a reason.
Yep.
Cameron, you have the fewest amount of points in the league, if I saw that correctly earlier. Some of your better players that could be home run hitters are on a bye, and just like Ben, I want you to lose. Sorry, because that helps me with where I'm at too. I think Clark will run away with this one this week. So
No, I think you're right.
all right, let's go on to Mike versus AJ and Tommy.
Oof. Um.
I'll start this.
Yeah, go ahead and take a stab at this.
I mean, basically, I agreed that Mike had the best team in the league, and I said AJ and Tommy have the worst team.
Mhm.
I'm gonna stick to that. It will be Mike. Um, Cincinnati's gonna have a big game against the Chargers. They're out for blood. Burrow and Chase both get above their projected score. McLaurin, it's the Eagles' corners. They are really, really good. Those young guys, but I think McLaurin, he's one of those players. He'll get some big plays. Dobbins against a crappy Cincinnati defense. Yes, please. A Chain, as long as Tua's playing. Yes, please. Laporta, I get why you gotta play him. That's probably Mike's weak point. Tank Dell. I mean, there's too much going on for Mike's team right now. Looking at AJ's team, I don't like Chase Daniels. Uh,
J-
Daniels, Jaden
Jaden,
Daniels. Jeez. Uh,
doing okay
don't
there?
I? Yeah, dude. I kept wanting to say Chase. I had to pull up the profile to read the name. I saw Jay and I was saying Chase. Um, but Jaden Daniels against Philly, short week. I could see them going at him. So
Mm.
we'll see. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I know I'm a little biased towards the Eagles this week. I'm on St. Brown. Sure, CD Lamb. You should. I get why you might have to play him, but you might want to consider benching him.
Yep.
Um, Aaron Jones, is he playing this week? He got carted off last week.
Mhm. Uh,
Uh,
it's limited in practice today.
so Brian Robinson Jr. Sure, gotta have him. Kyle Pitts. I mean, there's some weeks he gets you points. Some weeks it's not much. I think this year he's definitely been more he's been kind of all over the place. He's due for a big week. It's been 2 weeks since he's had a good week, so he's probably due. It's just looking at Mike's team. Like I think the ceiling for AJ and Tommy is maybe 110 points. The ceiling for Mike's team is like 180.
Yep.
So it's just there's way too much more. There's so much more going on for Mike's team versus AJ and Tommy. Um, so yeah, give it to Mike. This is kind of an
Uh,
easy clap for me.
yeah. I'll agree. I think Mike has this one. Um, we've already talked about it. Really, like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Man, if those two are connecting like they are, then good luck. Like, just call the game a wash. I like McLaurin against a fairly weak secondary in Philly. Um, Dobbins against a weak defense in Cincy. Yep. Achan against a weak all around Raiders team. Yep. Um, I'll go ahead and say weakest spot on Mike's team right now is tight end. It really is. Uh, I will go tell you, Mike, that as the guy who has CJ Stroud on his team, I think it's a great move to steer clear of any Texans player right now, especially since they're playing with a mismatched offensive line that they've cobbled together to make up for some injuries and whatnot. Like they ended up shifting their center over to play left guard now, just because.
Dude, they're
You know,
playing Dallas. I wouldn't worry about it.
I get it. I'm just saying, I don't. I don't trust it right now. If I really felt good about it, I would play C.J. Stroud. I just don't know. So, who knows? Maybe I will change my mind by the end of tonight or by this weekend. But as of right now, I'm not solid on it. But for the exact same reasons as you, look, Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's not consistent. CD Lamb, good Lord, who knows? Is Cooper Rush going to come out and be Cooper Rush of last year? I don't know. Probably not. Aaron Jones, you know what? I don't like the play anyway. I'll just say it. Not an Aaron Jones fan. Just not. Uh, really, if I'm being honest, AJ, Tommy, you guys are going to live and die by Washington and DeAndre Hopkins this weekend. If those guys all pop off, then you guys stand a chance. But you're still banking on, I don't know, Cincinnati looking like Cincinnati of week one.
They're going to be
So,
raising the white flag after tomorrow night's game.
yeah, you guys may want to actually start the flag now. We'll see.
All right. Moving on. This will be a good matchup. Moving on to Andrew versus Steve.
Let me say that I love this matchup for one simple reason. It's because both of those teams are right in the middle of the pack for playoff. Somebody's got to lose if I'm going to move up. Let's make it happen, boys. Uh, if I could get you guys to both lose, I'd be really happy.
Well,
Heck, even
if Steve loses, I mean, I think that would be the best case scenario because if Steve loses, he'll be at 5-6. Andrew will be at 5-6. And if you win, you'll only be one game behind
exactly.
from them. So I think that's your best case if you're looking at who needs to win and who needs to lose. Now we want Andrew to lose. Like I would rather see Steve win. But me
Here's
personally, I'm also fine if Steve loses because that puts me further away from him. If I win, which I will, Drew, we'll get to that in a moment.
well, let's go and look at this matchup, Mitch. If again, take a look here. I will take Jordan Love over Tua right now. Uh, Nico Collins, look, if he can come back and be the Nico Collins we know and love, then CJ Stroud is relevant. And Texans, in that case, should walk all over Dallas.
Hmm.
I'm hopeful on that. Um, I got to give props to A.J. Brown in Philly, though. I like the boy. He's got some mad skills. Not crazy about Calvin Ridley, and I'm not crazy about T. Higgins. So I think both of you should just bench those receivers and
Ridley's
just
been lighting it up lately.
he has.
22, 9.8, then 22 again. Like,
I mean, he's had three big games this season, if I remember right. Um, but also, I just don't know if it's you know consistent, if it's actually going to be there. Like when they find him, they find him. When they don't, they really don't. So the things that I think are actually going to decide this game are it's really the running backs. I think Jonathan Taylor should be able to put up some decent numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I like Josh Jacobs going against Chicago's defense. Chicago's not a bad defense at all, but I just think Green Bay they're they're kind of nasty, you know. So I like that matchup for them. Also, again, Dawson Knox. We don't know if Kincaid's playing or not, but um, I think what Steve is kind of hinging on there is a little bit of insider football if you're a Chiefs fan, and that is that we are atrocious against tight ends. Like our defense may be playing lights out. Tight ends are the the big hole in our defense.
Mm-hmm.
If he's banking on that, I get the play, but you really better be praying that Dawson you better be praying that Kincaid is not playing. Because if he is, Dawson Knox is gonna be next to useless. He'll maybe get one catch.
Yep.
So I think end of the day, I think Andrew pulls this out in that matchup, brings them that much closer in their race for playoffs, and at the same time brings me closer.
So I'm gonna pick Andrew. I think matchups are better. That's with me assuming Nico's back and if T Higgins is going to play. Let's say neither one of them play. He still has Downs from the Colts. Even
Yep.
with Richardson, he's putting up good numbers. And then
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby Myers in Las Vegas.
Yep.
Both of those are definitely worthwhile just putting in play. So, uh, yeah, Andrew's team's quietly got good. Um, like looking at this roster, I don't want to play it. I think Green Bay going against Chicago this week at Chicago. Um, they're going to come in ready to go. So, Steve, I mean, you have a shot. I think it's going to be tough. I think some of your players might be underprojected. Uh, but looking at this, I think Andrew has a higher ceiling than you this week in terms of points. If you're going to beat him, it's going to have to be because your team did show up and his just does not, and his team wets the bed. That's my
Yep.
opinion. So, all right,
Is this the last matchup?
me and Drew. I need to walk away for a moment. You go ahead and do it first.
I've been waiting for this. All right. Since Mitch is away, let's talk real talk now. Um, Obviously, this is kind of projected to be like the highest scoring matchup. I mean, you can kind of understand why. Let's talk about the quarterbacks: Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. It kind of makes sense. Both those guys are playing pretty dang good football. Um, I'll go ahead and say it. I'm still not a fan of Devonte Adams. I am still not believing it. Now, Khalil Shakir, I do buy it. Still not going to tell you who I'm going with yet. Puka Nakua. You know what? As long as he's not punching people, he seems pretty relevant. I like it. Zay Flowers. Well, Lamar Jackson has to throw the ball to somebody. Zay Flowers seems to be that, but not sold on it. Drew, you got Christian McCaffrey back. Let me go ahead and tell you, I was keeping an eye on that, and I was very impressed by the 39 rushing yards he had last week. So I'm not particularly sold on that right now. I think that they may actually end up using Debo Samuel as a running back more than they use McCaffrey next week. We'll see. David Montgomery, look, the dude's consistent. If there's one thing you can count on, it's David Montgomery to score 10 to 12 points. It's going to happen. I like the mix and play because Dallas is so trash. Like, can they stop anything? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we could give a squirrel the ball and it would probably score much more touchdowns than Dallas can. I think that's a realistic expectation. Kenneth Walker against the San Francisco defense. Um, if I were a betting man, I'd bet he probably gets injured and banged up and leaves the game after the first, second quarter. There's a good chance of that, guys. Oh, let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Tight ends. That's an easy pick. You're going to take Brock Bowers all day in that matchup. Lad McConkey. You know what? Boy's been coming on pretty well. I got to give him some props. He's not making like huge plays, but the targets are there. So there's potential there. Now, Jerry Judy, I don't know what you're smoking. I don't buy this at all. Oh, bleh. Yeah. I will pass on that. So, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to go ahead and actually say that I think Mitch and Rob pull out the win this week. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Mitch because I believe he's got something to share.
All right. Before I do this breakdown, because I want to say at least something nice about Drew. You make some awesome wings.
I
I love
dare you.
them, and I want more. That's the end of nice compliments right now. Drew, you did something, and I don't think you realized what you did. I chose to be silent when you did it. I'm going to bring it up here on screen.
Are you?
You can't see it, Ben, but what he
Nope.
posted in Discord. Of all the GIFs, whatever you want to call it, he does Sylvester Stallone. I'm coming for you. To an Eagles fan, let me remind you, we pride on Rocky. He's ours. You're coming for me? No. Let's break down this matchup. Across the board, I got you beat. Easy clap at QB. Don't care. Pittsburgh's gonna just lick Baltimore this week in divisional game. 1 to Jalen Hurts. Divisional game, Washington, they're crap. I don't care. Overrated. Moving on to wide receiver. Shakir, I don't care. Devontae Adams, he's a better wide receiver. He'll have a better game. He's getting a crap ton of targets. He got like 15 last week. I like Adams. Just looking at your wide receivers, I got targets, you don't. It's as simple as that. I got you beat. Running backs, you might have something, but you'll be out of your mind if you think Christian McCaffrey's going to get his projected score. I don't know why nobody should be projecting Christian McCaffrey more than Saquon Barkley right now. I don't have Saquon, but I will say my running backs are going to do better than yours, Drew. They will. Next, tight end. I don't have to say a word. None. No, you know that. Everybody knows that. Flex, I got you beat there too. Sure, gotta play Jerry Judy. Really, you might as well just bench him. But you do you, Drew. I believe in you. Not. Then you got the kickers. Sorry, I like mine more this year. Mine is getting points. Tucker, maybe Father Time's kicking in. I don't know. The only player that you might have me beat is Philly defense. Yeah, this might be a more of a bias thing, but I think this is just to show you never to mess with the brotherly love or all the brotherly shove touchdowns I'm going to get with Jalen Hurts this week. So, to recap, there's only one position you got me beat on, and that's your defense. Only one. Drew, I love you, but easy clap for me this week. You're going down. Rocky style.
It just got real. I will say that if both of you record yourselves doing your best Rocky impression, whichever one of you does it better, I will change my vote to say that they will win this week.
Yo, Adrian.
Adrian.
Adrian! Holding his belt.
And bonus points if you go do your own montage.
Oh, jeez. We got to do, but if we do the montage, we got to do it while we're doing a Hot Ones challenge.
Ooh, I like that plan.
So, all right. No.
Oh, well,
It'll
that's
be a
our month.
close matchup, but Drew, I got you beat. It's Boom, easy clap. Leave it. It's said and done. So, all right, that's it for matchups.
Yep.
We're just 4 weeks out from playoffs. Gonna be tight. A lot of intriguing matchups. Um, we'll keep going. I think Ben, we need to try to have some more guests coming on here soon, especially as we get closer to the playoffs and whenever playoffs are here. We
Hmm.
might even change up the style of the podcast a little bit because we could just talk particular matchups and take up even more than an hour or so. But I do have a few topics I want to talk about before we wrap up this episode. Last week, Lil Josh and I we talked about what are the Chiefs going to do when Isaiah Pacheco comes back at running back. I assume you heard what me and Josh said.
I actually didn't pay attention. You guys aren't Chiefs fans, so I assume you don't know what you're talking about.
So I do know what I'm talking about, and I think you're going to agree with what I said. So I'm going to go ahead and say it first. I think whenever Pacheco comes back, if they want to be successful with it, and they definitely can, they need to approach it like a Montgomery and Gibbs approach. That's what I would do. Uh, both will be hot, both will be productive, and with how the Chiefs' defense is, get your uh, get the other team's offense off the field soon. Keep your offense on the field longer, running and pounding the ball at them, making big plays with your arm whenever you need to, and they could just control the whole dynamic of the game. So I don't think you just only give Hunt 5 carries a game anymore. I think you split it evenly. If anything, you run the ball more. That's what I would do.
And what did Josh say?
I don't think he really had a good answer.
That makes sense.
I think he kind of talked about it and then he agreed with what I said.
Well, do you want to know what actually happens?
Let's hear it.
Call me crazy, but here's what happens. You're not wrong in the timeshare, but you start putting them both out there on the field at the exact same time. Why? Because Kareem Hunt just became your new receiver.
I mean, he could be a receiver, sure, but as he's coming back, I mean, hopefully you get Juju going more. You got Hopkins out there. You got Tyreek
Oh,
Hill. I mean, sure, you could have them both out there. I don't think that's the focus though. But I think on plays where you need to be a little bit more dynamic, those are the ones where you do have Hunt.
so a little insight to the Chiefs' offense right now. Um, I will say the Chiefs' offense has been a little lackluster,
Yes.
and I think if you watch that, you will recognize that they're not doing really flashy plays or anything. I think that they know they can win these games. So I think they're using these games that we've been watching for the past season as workshops. I think these are tune ups. I think they are literally using this to work out kinks on offense to try and figure out what works, what doesn't, that kind of stuff. So I think they know they can win these games. I think when Pacheco comes back and we're starting to head off towards playoffs, that's when I think that they're going to start getting nasty.
You almost sound like they're holding back intentionally right now.
I believe they are.
You know how cocky that sounds?
I know how cocky it sounds, but I also know, and you know Andy Reid as well. What does Andy Reid love to do? He loves to keep all those special plays until the
Well,
playoffs.
he does.
Yeah. So I think that that's part of what's happening. Now, I do think that there is some real problems there. You look at that offensive line, it's clear left tackle is a problem.
Hmm.
But, we're not watching a Travis Kelsey go and look amazing on every game. I think it's pretty clear dude's losing a step. But I think that the Chiefs are pretty sure that they can pull out some wins. So maybe it's almost like Pacheco's injury kind of brought them back to like, you know, we lost Rasheed Rice, we lost Pacheco. Maybe we don't need to stretch so hard to get those wins. And just ground out and figure out how to manage the clock. Because let's be honest, another Andy Reid thing, clock management has not been something he's been known for.
That's true. It's not.
So I think that there's, in some aspects, I think they are very much actually working on fixing little things like that.
One of the
So,
things I want to out about Reed, because it wasn't really until last year he kind of took back over the play calling, because he hasn't been the play caller for a while.
mhm,
And honestly, he was, I don't want to say he was losing his touch, but he wasn't able to be at the level compared to other coaches like he was before in the past. I think he could still draw up some amazing plays.
mhm,
Um, I'm really curious to see what that team will look like when they are healthy. I think uh, having Hollywood Brown could add an interesting dynamic.
yep,
Um, so I think Travis Kelsey's doing exactly what they need him to do. He's being a good blocker.
yep.
So
But
and right now I think that's what they need. And still somehow he'll still be wide open. And it's like I
yep.
don't know why you guys are doing that, but okay. um,
So I don't think you're wrong about Pacheco and Kareem Hunt splitting carries. Like you are completely right. I think you have to treat that as an A B situation, like Detroit does. Um, they both have very different skill sets. Kareem is definitely the better, pass catcher. Um, I will say that Pacheco is a lot better up the middle, but I think both of them are pretty good at a lot of things. So, man, those situations where you are running the ball consistently and like
mhm.
where you have to spell your running back and normally put in like right now they're putting in, you know, uh, well, we're putting in our two and threes to play there. You're putting in Carson Steele. You're putting in Samaj P. Ryan. Well, if it's Pacheco who's just running the ball, you aren't putting those guys in next. You're putting in Kareem Hunt, who's clearly tearing it up this season. So
Yeah,
whichever way you look at it, you've got a feature back handling the ball. Like you might see the most run heavy Chiefs that we've seen in the past 5 years.
yep.
So I I don't know. Honestly, I'm just praying it happens soon so I can get Pacheco in that lineup next week. Just hear me out. Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Isaiah Pacheco.
You'd have a good combo of running backs.
That's what we call a stable, Mitch. My horse for you.
So let's I got two more topics. Let's stick to the Chiefs. Chiefs and Bills this week. I don't want to say that this is really a must win for either team, but if there's anything to argue, I'd say it's a must win for the Bills. Um, because if you're gonna get to Super Bowl, I think it has to be through Buffalo. We know Patrick Mahomes could win anywhere in the playoffs. We saw it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think if you are gonna do it, it's gonna need to be in Buffalo, not Arrowhead. Uh, I joke around like it'd pray for a snowstorm because I think you could beat them in a snowstorm. Uh, but going to the Chiefs and Bills game, who wins this week?
I do think the Chiefs will still pull out this win, but for the exact same reasons that you're making a point that this is a must win for Buffalo, I think this is a must win for Kansas City because, everyone keeps pointing out like this entire season, how many games have been decided by like one play,
Oh yeah,
one lucky thing that's happened. Like, look, if you're the Chiefs, if you want to silence people and all the naysayers and the doubters, this is how you do it. You go shut down Buffalo in their home stadium. So if you really want to, you know, make that statement and tell people, look, we are for real. We are going to try and get back to that Super Bowl. We're looking at going for a perfect season, all those things. If you're trying to do that, then this game may be the most important game of the regular season. So I think that Kansas City is very much aware of how important this game is going to be. Um, Now that being said, there is a part of me that kind of says, like, maybe the Chiefs should just lose this, and then we can get that thing off our back of, well, what about the perfect season, going undefeated?
Andy Reid won't do it. Yeah, he'll be one of those like, sure, we'll try to win, but I'm not playing my starters.
Exactly. So I think that it's more important for them to find a way to make that statement. And I will remind everyone that Patrick Mahomes has a stellar record in games where the Chiefs are the underdogs when we're looking at betting odds out of Vegas.
Yeah, I
And
saw Buffalo was favored to win this game. Honestly,
yep,
that's probably because of how that game ended against Denver.
yep, I
So
get, there is a lot of doubts to Kansas City and how they're playing this year. Like, yeah, they're getting wins, they're undefeated, but how many of those came down to like one
yeah,
question thing, one
it's
iffy?
it's almost like the Eagles last year, except the Chiefs they do have an identity this year, but that's what the Eagles were doing last year before they started losing.
Yep,
Yeah, they were winning all those games against good teams, but it there was a lot of games where that easily could have gone the other way. So
yep.
I don't think there's a chance of that happening with the Chiefs that they would just go like downhill like that. I could easily say that they should have lost three of their games that they've played, but I'm gonna disagree with you. I think Bills need this more than the Chiefs. If the Chiefs win, they'll be three games up on the Bills. If the Chiefs lose, they will still be one game up on the Bills. The Bills will still need help. It's just that the Bills will have the tiebreaker. So,
Yep.
but last topic I have. So I kind of wrote some of these down while we were doing matchups. This past week we had that crazy game against Lions and Texans. The Lions, Goff, five interceptions, and the Lions still won. Does that make you feel more confident that the Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl and be the ones representing the NFC, or does that make you more weary that there's no chance that they're going to make it?
I think that my in my head, their odds of making it are about the same. So what I saw there is a team that was able to win in spite of literally shooting themselves in the foot. Uh, that's that indicates a special kind of resiliency in my mind because if your quarterback is playing that awful and you can still pull it out, man, that is one heck of a way to come back and really be in the
Yeah,
fight. So I think it speaks volumes about their defense.
yeah.
And I think that, in Goff's case, maybe it's the yips. Maybe something just got wrong in his head or something. I don't know. But maybe it is that they analyzed him that much that they knew his tendencies, they knew where to watch for it. That might be the case, but you subtract that game, and Jared Goff was playing MVP level. So I think, if anything, it just shows us that Goff is still human.
Yeah.
So I still think that as a team, they're still good, man. I love what I see from them. They've got a lot of fight. I love that attitude that Dan Campbell has brought up
Oh
there.
yeah.
Like, those guys are just playing good smash mouth football, and the the atmosphere they're creating in that team locker room amongst all those players, like, that's what you love to see from teams, is when you get that brotherhood on the field where you
Yeah.
guys are out there battling together. That's the cool stuff to watch. So in my mind, Detroit still has something special that a lot of teams don't have right now.
Yeah.
If you are a New York Jets fan, AJ, then you're sitting there praying to God that they can figure out how to get that in their locker room, because that's what they need more than anything.
Yeah. So, gonna agree with you with that with the Lions. I don't think it really changes anything. I think that they are still the the favorite, or they should be the favorite coming out of the NFC. I'm looking at the standings here. So they are the only team in the NFC that has one loss. There are two
Mhm.
teams in the NFC that has two losses. And I still think that they're even a step ahead of them, and that is the Vikings and
Mhm.
the Eagles. And then after that, you do have one team with three losses. No, two teams with three losses. That's Washington and Green Bay.
Yep.
All very, all those teams are formidable, but I don't think they have the same kind of. They're not at the same level as the Lions right now.
Yep.
So, and yeah, I mean, we just like you can't count them out. Five interceptions, they can still win a game on the road against a good team. Yeah, no,
Yep. Well, and remember that they're just now getting some of the things rolling. Like, I mean, God, imagine that offense if Sam Laporte playing at the level he was playing last year. Like,
Well, well, the thing is, I don't think they need him to play at that level. Like, it's
no,
not like their offense is playing bad; it's playing good.
they clearly don't. But I'm saying, like, my God, imagine all those pieces. Like, they have pulled together some really good stuff up there.
Yeah,
And like we're talking about Amon Ross St. Brown, like the dude is a bust right now. He's not consistent. Like they have so many mouths to feed. Of course he's not consistent. But the dude is insanely talented.
yeah,
So it's amazing to watch those kind of teams where, well, okay, we don't need that player to put up 300 yards receiving because turns out our running backs just ran for 200 apiece.
yeah.
What do you do against that, man?
Gotta be able to stop the run. Then you hope you could beat him in a gunfight.
Right. Oh gosh.
So, oh, I do have one more. I was talking about this at work today. We got a big fight on Netflix on Friday. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
I'm aware. I just don't know that I really care.
Well, I get that, but who's gonna win?
Tyson.
Say Tyson. Did you know that Jake Paul's actually the favorite to win that fight?
Yeah.
It's there's if there's anything I could hope for, I really don't care who. Well, actually, I do. I hope Tyson wins. I just hope it's ridiculous. But if there's one thing I can get out of it, I want to see Mike Tyson get one of his famous uppercuts on Jake Paul. Like I want to see a connection. And if Jake Paul could take that hit, if he could take that hit and keep going, all right, man. I get Tyson's old, but he could kill a man with that uppercut.
I'm gonna take a different route, Mitch. What I want Tyson to bite off both of Jake Paul's ears.
He only needs to bite off one, or maybe he'll up his game and go for nose.
Oh, I didn't even yeah, go for no. That's my prediction.
My
Tyson,
goodness,
Jake Paul. That's
dude,
for
could you imagine if I'm sure there's a Las Vegas bet somewhere on biting of an ear or nose. So I think I'm gonna watch it. It's on
if there's
Netflix, so
if there's a prop bet on whether Tyson will bite Jake Paul, I'm gonna take that bet. I'm gonna be rich, by the way.
so all right. So but who do you got?
I'm gonna
Jake
stick.
Paul.
I'm gonna stick with Tyson.
I'm going to as well. So all right. I think that's gonna be it for the episode tonight. Um, as always, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you all next week. Peace.